Hello there everybody, welcome to a Sundsvall that has been having a enormous great deal of heat this past weekend. It has been almost tropical. It's been hard sitting inside working at with a computer without having the sweat floating over your face, so I had to take the laptop outside to the balcony to sit there during the evenings, but that was cozy also. Now it has been becoming a bit cooler and little bit mixed weather. Enough with the weather. In the last video I showed 30 singles from the 80s that I most likely haven't shown before. And I thought that it was very fun to do it, and the fun things you do one more time, and I got some great responses for that video, so I thought why not make a part 2 of it and show another 30 singles from the 80s that I most likely haven't shown before. And if you have some memory that I might have shown it during my 5 years here at the YouTube, then enjoy them anyway. I can't have shown them that many times. So let's start. Another 30 singles from the 80s that some of you may not know what it is, you may have forgotten, or that you feel nostalgical about, or maybe there are some that you wish I hadn't reminded you of. Starting off with some artists that I heard in Swedish radio when I was a kid, and with this song, and I had no idea who it was then. This was not a hit in Sweden. I heard it in one show only, and I've listened to it in older age, and I thought that it was practically a good song, so I got the single of a man called Jean Beauvoir, Gambling Man, from 1988. And little poppier stuff with rock in the edges. I heard some from his other songs, and it isn't all that good, so most likely this will be the only single that I will have from him, but it's a good one, Gambling Man. Bangles, one of my absolute favorite girl bands. You all remember Eternal Flame, of course. Who wouldn't? But do you remember the follow-up? It was this, Be With You. It was their last final single, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was their final single before their hiatus. And I think this is a sadly forgotten song. I really like this song very, very much. Really great produced and great melody, and they sing extremely well together here. 1989 was that. Let's go 4 years back. A song that I heard connected with my earliest age of discovering pop music back in 1985. Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart and People Get Ready. A Curtis Mayfield song that they made in their own version. Really great guitar playing on from Jeff Beck. And I think this was the first time I ever heard of the name Jeff Beck. I've heard of Rod Stewart before, but I never heard of Jeff Beck before this. Before this year, I was going to say. I've heard 1 month earlier. I've heard him in another radio program, but it was among the first time. A disco classic that is sadly forgotten today. I bought this one way back in 1991. can tell that because I made the mistake of writing on the sleeve. I have no clue back then in '91 how to collect records. So I wrote the genre and my initials on the single, and some number up in the sleeve for the order. Nicole MacLeod, and or Nicole as is just being called, Don't You Want My Love, an amazing disco single. Shamed. But fun memory, and I don't collect for the money, so it doesn't matter. Her album What About Me, a really great 80s soul disco album, highly recommended. I don't know if I have said this many times, but I'm a huge fan of Alan Parsons and Alan Parsons Project. And I think the song that led me into it was when I heard Eye in the Sky for the first time. Really like their smooth production. And this is an amazing song, actually. Another song connected with my first year as a pop nerd in '85. This didn't become a hit at all in Sweden, even though some Swedish dance bands actually tried to make Swedish versions of it. But from what I understand, it was a pretty good hit in the UK. Missoula, a girl band that had some hits there, and Excitable. In my opinion, they're actually real best song with some calypso feeling. Going down to just one girl, a pretty familiar girl for many of you. She was one of Prince's girls from his proteges, even though he's not involved in this single. And she was in the Purple Rain movie, as well as she also was a part of the soap opera Falcon Crest, playing a nightclub singer that fell in love with Lance Camson, Lorenzo Lamas, and her name there was also Apollonia. It must have been a special deal, a special commercial deal to let her have the same name for real as in the series. So for me, before I knew that she was one of Prince proteges, she was from Falcon Crest. But Since I Fell For You was a really great song. She sang a couple of songs in Falcon Crest also, special made that wasn't released on any kind of format. That was I heard she had a really great voice. Swedish music from 1988. This is a single that didn't become all that big. For some reason, it was released during the summer, and it should have been a real good summer hit. It has the melody for it. The band is called Reds, and the single Be Mine. And real cute guitar pop song. Gotta be mine, gotta be mine, and repeatedly. It's real cute pop song. Now, this was one of the first singles I bought. I said that my first single that I got ever was Wham's Freedom. I think, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think this was the second single that I got in my life. And I still have it, even though I have written on the sleeve, what is it? Was it with me? Couldn't I foresee the future? CC Top, Sharp Dressed Man. And I got the 6 on the B-side, also a song that I listened to many times. So really great song. This is a song that I actually didn't like when it came back in 1988. I thought it was way too cheesy for me. Then in older age, many years after that, I listened to it and realized, hey, this isn't all that bad actually. This is pretty fun actually. I don't know if I would ever buy an album with this band, but the single is pretty fun actually. The Fat Boys, some rap music with their version of The Twist with stupid deaf vocals by Chubby Checker. I guess this was some kind of a comeback for him. He's been gone for many years on the charts before this. From an old artist, Chubby Checker, to an old song in new version. How to make Carole King disco. Sounds like a pretty interesting challenge. Martika did it with her version of I Feel the Earth Move. And I don't want to compare them because I like them both. Two different kind of versions and in two different in different ways. So I don't want to compare them and say who's better. And now we're into the soul style. A couple of soul singles that I've had for many years, and that actually were blind buys. I had no idea what it was, but I actually, I think I got them for $1 or something like that on an old record store we had back then. This is Barbara Fowler. I had no idea who she was before this. I haven't heard anything from her after that. It's released on Injection Disco Dance label, so it's a little bit of European disco style, but very much soul touch over it. Knocking on My Door. I had this one for so many years. It's a really great single. And from the same moment I also bought this one, I had no idea who the Quick were. I haven't heard of anything of them before or after this, but I really, here it was a guy called Mats. I know who he was, but he had the habit of putting stickers up with the genre description and how many BPM it is going in. And with that, I could. I went for NC Disco. Hey, why not? 1981. I can have this one. So that was pretty good as a lead. Zulu says disco here from 1981. A great soul disco track. Didn't become any big from what I know. At least not here. Same goes with, from the same, Mats Abrahamsson, it says here. Same goes with this single from 1985 by a band called Cairo. And here it says Disco Funk. Sounds interesting. 1985, my favorite year. So I thought, why not? And I bought On the Rebound. Released on the totally unknown label Champion. This was a minor hit in Sweden actually, so it wasn't. This was leaving the blind buys, and I thought it was a real great song. This is produced by and written by George Michael. And I think this singer was in George Michael's background choir or something like that. Dion Estes and Heaven Help Me, a real nice and smooth song from 1989. Paul McCartney, a man that has done some real great stuff. He also done some stuff that are not all that great in many fans' eyes. He also done a lot of stuff that I consider very much underrated, such as this single. I think many consider this one of Paul McCartney's best songs. To me, it is connected with my first years as pop nerd, because I heard it on Swedish television back then, and I thought it was a real fun song. So I was brainwashed in a very early age, but I still think this is a fun. It's very much from the Beatles. I know that, but I think it's a fun song, and I stand for that. Paul McCartney and the Frog Chorus. We all stand together. I think this is a real great song. End of discussion. This is a soul single that is real great. Should be, as it's produced, written and arranged by Rick James. The Mary Jane Girls, one of his protégés, as Rick James during the 80s was pretty much Prince style. So why not have? He should also have his protégés of girls that he produced. Mary Jane Girls and In My House from 1985. It showed an old legend that been doing something that he's not famous for. We have another legend from the past in typical 80s style. And this is Malcolm McLaren, the manager from Sex Pistols. Normally I wouldn't care that much about McLaren or punk music, but I heard this on Swedish radio and I really thought that this was a real great song. And then I saw the video on the cable TV back then. Waltz Darling is a real great and special and odd song. Also is the B-side that actually is a real good one. Deep in Vogue. So a real great single. I think this is my only Malcolm McLaren single. I don't know if I'm going to have that much more of them. Band before in our series before they were bands before they were famous. You all remember Wax, Andrew Gold and Graham Goldman from 10cc. Before they became Wax, they tried out with different kind of names that didn't become all that big. One of them was Common Knowledge. And this is a single, Don't Break My Heart. So this is Wax before they became Wax. But it sounds still very much like Wax. The single is from 1984 actually. You all remember Berlin's Take My Breath Away? Of course, why shouldn't you? But do you remember the singles after that? From the album Magnificent and sadly forgotten album, Count 3 and Pray. I think that one is a great one, but very much forgotten. This is You Don't Know. Real great production. Real. It's not produced by Giorgio Moroder as Take My Breath Away, but it's real great and tougher pop music. I think this is a great one. We have the series of covers in styles that you wouldn't imagine sounded like this. Smoke on the Water, a great Deep Purple song, but in disco style. And it was made in disco style back in 1989, I think this single is from. Made in Sweden by the girl known as Wrapped and Soul. This is Smoke on the Water. Once upon a time I thought this was a real great song. Better than the original, before I started to discover Deep Purple. During the time as the original has become one of my favorites, I have though realized that it is a okay version. It is a good version, but it's not like the original. It is Pretty funny actually, but I still have it because of memories maybe, but also it's a great production nonetheless. But it's a little cheesy, a little cheesy version, but it's still fun to have. More from Sweden. This is Swedish 80s pop in its best format. Pop with some synthesizers in the back, but still not synth pop, and real relaxing pop. This is a band called Modesty. They're most famous here for a single, their only hit called One More Broken Heart. It was a minor hit in Sweden back in 1987. This is the follow-up single to it, Up to You. Also a real great song. This is a band called Deo Band. I think it's a one-man project. I'm not sure about that. I guess many of you... it's a one-man, it's a man. I think he's a Brazilian. I think many of you out there knows more about him than I do. Deodato, a man that I think started more or less like a easy listening guy, much like a combination James Last or Mundo Ross, but then turned into pop. It first turned into soul music and then turned into 80s disco. And this single I heard in Swedish radio. This is pure 80s disco that I real liked when I heard it. SOS Fire in the Sky. I think I found this one on single around 15 years ago. And I real was happy to find this one on single. We are coming into a rock part. This is from Foreigner. The singer of the band Foreigner, Lou Gramm. In the late 80s, Foreigner had a little hiatus, and Lou Gramm did some singles on his own. And I remember I hearing on Swedish radio this song, and I really fell in love with it because it was such a relaxing and great and great rock. Soft rock song actually, Just Between You and Me. Also like the lyrics, real describing and great lyrics about a relationship about to crash. Heavy metal. I don't have all that much heavy metal singles, as you might understand, but I have a few. This one I have, it's a little nostalgia because I heard it on Swedish radio in the mid-80s. And it is a cult classic. I have it because it's cult. It is songs that I'm more laugh about than headbang to. Helix, Rock You, Give Me an R, oh. You know the rest. But I felt like I gotta have it. And we have Europe. You might remember Europe, the Final Countdown and so on. I'm not that big fan of Europe. They've done some great songs that actually are pretty good. Prisoners in Paradise and Open Your Heart and so on. But I think that my favorite Europe song is this one, Rock the Night. This is from 1985, so this is before Final Countdown. One of their earliest real hits in Sweden. Belgium pop. This is a band that is called Soul Sister, that is pretty much forgotten today. They had some real great songs. I've heard some of the albums by them, and they don't hold, unfortunately, for an entire album, but they have some songs that are really good, like this one, The Way to Your Heart, real happy and fun soul poppy song actually. They had another song in the early 90s called Through before they even started, and then they have changed their name to Layers, Michels and Soul Sisters. Layers Michels as in the members, Jan Layers and Paul Michels. So, but great forgotten group. I don't have all that much with Susie and the Banshees. I've discovered them pretty late. But I have a couple of singles, and this is one of them. that I found at a flea market, a garage flea market up north for only 20 cents. And he had a whole lot of indie rock, new wave singles that I bought. Sushi and the Banshees and Song from the Edge of the Worlds from 1987. Real great song actually. And we have Katrina and the Waves. Walking on Sunshine? No, but they're most famous for that song. But they made also this single that is really good actually. I think this one is a sadly forgotten song. I remember this one from the autumn, the first year I started to enjoy pop music for real, 1985. I mentioned that year many times, but that's because I like this year, my favorite year of pop. And it was a very much minor hit, but I still think it's a sadly forgotten one. Que te quiero. I think it's the third single from this album with Walking on Sunshine. And finally, from Roxette fame, Marie Fredriksson. But this is on her own as a solo artist. 2 years before the first Roxette single. This is from 1984. Back then she was still produced by Swedish legend Lasse Lindbom. And this is a classic here in Sweden. It is a classic single, one of the most classic 80s Swedish singles in Swedish. Ännu doftar kärlek, a real soft and wonderful love ballad with a rock touch, real great rock touch. I really like this song. Ännu doftar kärlek still smells like love, something like that. And amazing singing by Marie. Amazing singing. So, I don't know how much I will do this, but I might, if there are any interest, I might do some of these every now and then, if anyone wants to see it. So, until next time, I think it's time for a vinyl CD update very soon. So, until next time, have a real nice time, take care in the summer, and see ya.